guys, what is up? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a very exciting new video. Now, this one is actually a pretty cool one. I'm not really big into sponsorships. I'm not really, a really big social media YouTuber kind of person, whatever you want to call it. So this doesn't really happen that often. So it's pretty cool. And I kind of wanted to introduce you guys to a new sponsor to the build, to the channel. And I'm going to be using a lot of the parts for going to stage 3 from this specific brand. So I wanted to formally introduce you guys to the new sponsor of the channel, Grimmspeed. So as you guys know, I've been kind of on the hunt for a top mount intercooler. I'm going to go into detail as to why I prefer a top mount over a front mount, because I know a lot of you are going to ask that question. So I'll go over that later in the video, but I just wanted to go over quickly, how we kind of landed upon a sponsorship and how did this, happen and what's going on. So, like I said, I've been looking for a new top mount. Right now, finding things in stock is really, really hard. People just aren't able to get products. They're not able to keep them in stock as they normally did, just with everything going on. So it's been crazy. So when things go out of stock, they go out for a long time. So I was posting a few things on my Instagram and I was like, hey, if anybody has one, let me know. Actually, Grimmspeed, his name is Art, actually reached out to me and said, hey man, I saw that you're looking for an intercooler. I saw you're interested in ours. Send me an email and let's chat. Let's work something out. So a few things back and forth. He connected me with Owen at Grimmspeed, and we got the chatting. And lo and behold, we have a sponsorship on the channel, like a legit sponsorship. This doesn't really happen to people like me, like I mentioned. So it's really, really cool. I feel really honored to be a part of the Grimmspeed family. Grimmspeed is one of those companies that I've always wanted to, purchase and put on my car and use. It's a really, really trusted brand that has a lot of R&D. I'm absolutely thrilled that, I can be a part of their family and that we're going to use a bunch of Grimmspeed parts on my car. And then I can kind of show you all the cool things that they offer for the WRX and STI. And build a pretty cool car with Grimmspeed. So huge shout out to Art, huge shout out to Owen. Thank you so much for the opportunity. Let's open this up. Let's go over in detail as to what's in the box and why I chose what I chose. I'm going to explain everything that's in here and as to why I chose a top mount over a front mount, because I know a lot of you are going to have that question. I know I would, just because, a turbo car, a lot of people always think front mount, that's the way to go. That's the best thing. It looks the coolest and everything. And that's just the way to do it. But for me, you guys know my thing. I'm a very OEM plus kind of person. I want to keep it as OEM as possible, but upgraded. And a front mount, there's a lot of things that I wasn't crazy about. That was kind of turning me away from doing a full front mount. So cool. So we got a huge banner that we can hang up in the garage. Kind of hard to see, but I'll be putting that up in the garage for everybody to view while we're in here working. Before I kind of go over as to why I chose a top mount over a front mount, let's take this out of the box just because I'm excited to see it. And I don't think I'm going to be able to really put the words together as I'm doing all this, since it is a giant box. But I wanted to go over this little thing right here. They threw in some cool stuff. I got the banner, as you just saw, a bunch of decals, and got a cool little jet tag that I actually throw on my keys. I actually don't have a keychain, and I was actually looking for a cool jet tag to put on, so that works perfectly. All right, let's get this out of the box, and we'll go into detail and kind of show what's in here. Absolutely beautiful. The craftsmanship on it, it is super quality. All the welds and everything, really, really nice. Take a look inside. So you can see the core in there, super cool. Much, much, much thicker than OEM. One of the cool parts about this is actually smaller. This way is not as long, but it's deeper. So you get a lot more cooling and everything in a much smaller package. So you're able to have a little bit more room for cooler stuff in your engine bay, like a bigger turbo. I'm not doing a big turbo, but this gives you the option to have that space to be able to do it. Another cool thing is I'm going to be able to see my AOS a little bit better, since it is a little bit hidden with the stock intercooler. But This thing is beautiful. You can get it in two different colors. You can get it in the normal silver, or you can get it in this one, the black, which is the thermal coating, which helps with reducing the amount of heat in the engine bay. So it's like a thermal ceramic coating kind of. These go for about $7.95 or something like that. So they are reasonably priced, and comparing to a front mount, which basically any front mount out there is over $1,000. Plus all the extra piping and everything. So I'm really happy I went with this one. This is the original top mount that I wanted to go with. And I'm really stoked that I was able to hook up with Grimmspeed and kind of work something out together. So why did I choose a top mount over a front mount? Now, of course, front mount is awesome. There's no doubt about it. It looks really cool. You can get some really cool intercooler piping and everything like that. But for me, I didn't want to complicate things. I wanted to keep it absolutely simple. That is my motto. Keep it clean and keep it simple. And going with a front mount would just kind of complicate things. Just adding the extra piping, and especially on a car that you drive on the street. Front mounts are not necessarily the best route to go. And the reason for that is because you lose, your low-end power. All the extra piping is much longer, so it takes a lot longer for that air to get to the motor. So you lose a little bit of low end. You get a little bit more turbo lag. The only benefit to having a front mount is if you're going for big power. But for me, I'm only on a stage 1+. Eventually, I'm going up to stage 3. But this is going to handle the power and the cooling capabilities, and then some, at least for me. I'm not a big number hunter. I never will be. That's not my thing. I like to just, build upon what's already there and just make it a little bit more fun without getting out of control. Maybe in the future we'll do something like that where we go all out on a really cool build. But for this car, I'm more than happy with the current power for the street. It's more than enough, and I have a ton of fun with it. So doing a top mount was one of those things. It's kind of it's kind of going above and beyond for stage 1+. Always praise that. I will always go by that. And this is one of those things. I did the AOS, I did the cylinder 4 cooling mod. I'm doing all my maintenance on time or early. So this was kind of the last thing that I wanted to do all those extra above and beyond things to make sure I am modifying the right way. And doing an intercooler, I think, is a smart move. You're getting colder and better air into the actual motor, so it's going to stay happier and healthier for much longer. And this is just an absolute unit. So if you notice, it didn't come with the extra, the Y pipe. You're actually able to use your stock Y pipe, which I actually prefer. You're able to purchase the Grimmspeed Y pipe with all the silicone hoses and stuff with it. But for me, I'm actually preferring to use the stock Y pipe. Now, why is that my preference? Just the hoses and the fitment going onto the turbo, it's going to be exactly like OEM. So going for the silicone hoses and the Y pipe kit, yes, obviously it's something I'm not against. But I just, like I said, I wanted to keep it simple, and using the stock Y pipe and silicone hoses and connections was important to me, so I decided to go that route. But this thing is absolutely beautiful. Really looking forward to getting in the car. It's a very simple install. Something really nice about doing a top mount as well is you don't need a tune. Obviously, going to your tuner and sending some data logs just to make sure everything is okay is important. I am going to be doing that with Bren Tuning. I was actually talking to Chris today and saying, hey, I got this intercooler. I'm going to throw you some data logs. Is it all right if you check on them just to make sure everything's okay? And he said, no problem. So even if you're hesitant, and even though people say you don't need a tune to do a top mount intercooler or an aftermarket top mount, just send it over to your tuner. Make sure everything's okay. It's better safe than sorry. I know it's not going to affect the power or anything like that, or the tune, I should say, but it is still a good practice to check with your tuner just to make sure. So here are some up close shots of the intercooler. The thing is absolutely beautiful. I mean, look how thick this thing is. I mean, this thing is massive. It's like, let's see, like 4 inches thick. So yeah, let's take a look inside once again to get a little bit better look. The core is beautiful, huge. Look at the fins. The welding on this thing is so nice. It just feels quality, It doesn't feel cheap. It doesn't feel like you're downgrading from the stock unit. Running a top mount, there's one thing that I was actually concerned about. I still want to run the parent strut bar, which I was concerned about with the AOS, and I got that to fit. So same thing with the intercooler. I wanted an intercooler that was bigger, but obviously I wanted to still be able to run that strut bar. So this one is confirmed. I've seen pictures, I've talked to people, and it does fit. I actually don't think it's any wider this way. It's just deeper this way, and it's shorter. So it's just a more compact, better flowing, better version of the stock top mount intercooler. Do I think this is going to add some power? It does have potential, obviously, if you tune for it. But it is going to, give me the ability to get that a little extra power once I go up to stage 3. And it's also going to keep the motor much happier, much cooler, and plus it's going to look really, really good in the engine bay. So we're going to take that one out of the car. We're going to throw this one in. I'm not going to really do a do-it-yourself of how to install. It's pretty simple. Maybe I'll throw some clips of doing everything, and I'll mention a few things, but we're going to go ahead, install this on the car, see how it looks. And yeah, so let's get started and take the stock one out. So we got it off the car, we got everything cleaned up, ready and prepped to go. So now all I'm doing is, you guys saw I was scraping off the old gasket on the Y-pipe. Grimmspeed actually supplies you with new gaskets, so all you're going to do is take off these little stickers here, put the gaskets on, then screw it right back on. You actually get new bolts, new nice black bolts that you're going to use on the bottom here, as well as 2 new bolts for the side here. So all I'm going to do is open up the gaskets. Now we're just going to take off these little protective stickers. All right, so we got the intercooler prepped. I just wanted to show you guys before I put it back on. I didn't really get a chance to see the AOS there, so there you go. All the lines ran nice and clean. There's a pitch stop. You can kind of see the pitch stop mount back there as well. There's the pair and clutch line too, so a few things that you guys don't normally see. Also, I wanted to report, when I took before I put the AOS on, there used to be a puddle of oil right in the turbo inlet right there. But ever since I got that installed, I took it off and there's 0 oil there. So it is working. The AOS is doing its job. Definitely happy I did that. So let's go ahead, pop this on. Don't forget, Grimmspeed also includes a new bypass valve gasket, but I am running the Turbo Smart one, so it's a little bit different gasket, so I have to run this. So I'm not going to be able to use this one, but this is still a very new and clean gasket, so I'm going to go ahead and reuse that. Just make sure you pop these off before you put them on, obviously. Let's go ahead and throw it in the car, see how it fits, and let's finish this up. Oh my God, guys. Okay, I am done. I did not get much footage of installing this because getting this in the car took me probably about 3 hours. Now, it's not because of the actual intercooler, but it's actually because of the AOS. The way the lines are ran, they run right underneath the turbo inlet. So getting that Y-pipe back on the turbo was a major pain in the butt. Now, if those 2 hoses were not in the way, it would slide right on, no problem. The main issue was the bottom of that Y-pipe, that red pipe right there, underneath was hitting the hoses, so it wasn't flipping onto the actual turbo inlet. So with just persistence and constantly trying different ways, finally got it on, and I finally got everything bolted on. As you can see, the parent strut bar fits beautifully. Really, really happy with this look. Obviously, I haven't started the car or anything like that. It's about 1 in the morning. I started this at about 9:30. I was hoping to do this in about like an hour, but it has nothing to actually do with the fitment. The fitment is beautiful. It's just the AOS lines that I was running into issues with because I couldn't get that Y pipe on. Probably should have ordered a silicone coupler right here. It would have been way easier. That stock one is super flimsy. Having a silicone elbow here would just slipped right on the turbo inlet much easier. So I really, really do like how this looks. Looks really, really clean with my engine bay. Obviously, you get rid of the STI logo. That guard that I had on there from Intertech Fabrications. No, that is not for sale, so do not ask me. I can't tell you how many people on Instagram were asking if it's for sale and if they could buy it. I do not plan on selling it, so don't ask me. But absolutely beautiful fitment, looks fantastic. Was going to put a Grimmspeed decal right here in white, which would have looked really nice with all the white that I have going on in the engine bay. But it wasn't sticking. I guess just with the actual coating on here, it doesn't allow the decal to stick, so I'm not able to run it. We'll do an update once I get out and drive with the actual intercooler, give you a full review, kind of talk about it and what I'm feeling, if there's anything at all. I will do a full video on that, but obviously I can't right now. The bumper's off. I'm still waiting on a bunch of parts to come in before I get everything back together, so the car is just kind of chilling like this for a little while, for a couple weeks. But yeah. So that is the Grimmspeed top mount intercooler. Super happy with it. Really, really like the way it looks. Really happy keeping that stock OEM Plus look. I love the black. Obviously doing silver would have been nice as well, but doing the black, just what I have going on in the engine bay, I think flows really, really nicely. So yeah, guys, that is it for this one. I hope you enjoyed it. Sorry there wasn't too much footage of actually installing it. I was getting, I got to that point where I was just like, I want to get this thing in the car. I don't have time to film. I don't have time to get angles and talk and chat and everything like that. But yeah, so that's the install. That is what it looks like. This actually fits any 2008 plus STI. So if you are interested in picking this up, I highly suggest it as one of the better top mount intercoolers out there. Super compact, super thick, really, really looks good. And it's going to boost performance and keep the motor much happier. So if you guys have any questions, be sure to ask them below. But in the meantime, keep it clean, keep it simple. I'll catch you in the next one.